Welcome to the Selenium WebDriver training. Today is our day 9 from 5 Elements Learning. We are going to discuss today about the different WebDriver functions which are available. We will have a look at the by class and understand the element locator. We will then understand the JUnit, parameterization and synchronization of the test scenarios. So yesterday we saw how we could set up our environment, add our client files, and create our very first test case in the WebDriver, which was our login logout. We also saw that we were using the JUnit unit test framework for giving a structure to our code, and there is availability of a before test and after annotations. In the before, we are basically trying to declare the variable setup pre-environment because it's like a precondition. In the test, we are doing the actual steps, and in the after, we are cleaning up the environment, right? And we saw that once we have created the Firefox driver object, we can access the different methods like get, find element, etc. And then using those methods, we basically use the locator to find the web element of our interest and perform the required action on it. So with that, we were able to automate the login logout scenario of our application. Okay? Any questions from yesterday's class? Anything which was not clear? Okay. So I gave you guys a question yesterday, I believe, and I asked you to tell me the answer by today morning. So find out the utilities which are similar to Firebug in IE and Chrome. Were you guys able to find out the answer? What those utilities are? Inspector, is that what it is called? Or does it have a special name? Right. So in IE and Chrome, you have availability of the tool using which you can also find out about the elements. So it's called as developer tools. Okay. And you can go ahead and click on this arrow and find out the HTML properties of any element of your interest, which can help you with the locator creation. Similarly, in the Chrome, you have got a similar utility which allows you to find out these HTML properties of the different elements available on the page, thus helping you with the locator creation, because once you read the backend HTML, you will be able to find out what type of element it is, what are the different properties associated with that element, and thus you can create the locators. Now, can you tell me what are the different locators which are available to us with Selenium? id name css dom xpath. That's right. So, and there is one more is link text. Okay, so for links it is always the link text. So by, I hope you all remember, is the class using which you can identify the different elements using the different locator values. Okay. So by dot class name by dot css selector id name tag name xpath link text etc. Okay. So these are the different ways using which you can identify the element or object of your interest. Okay. Now, to understand the different web element functions, we have to understand the different types of web elements which could be available on a web page, and then identify on what element generally what do we use. For that, I will be taking you to the registration scenario of our application because there are a lot of elements available in there. So let's go to that page. So if you look at these different elements, first of all, these are all form elements, okay? So these are mainly the input elements. So what are the different HTML elements available on the page which we will encounter? So you can have text boxes, you can have buttons, you can have images, links, you can have drop down, you can have a web table, you can have radio button, you can have a checkbox, then you can have a frame, then you could have very well span, div tags. So these are the various elements available to us on a web page, and more so are there. Okay. Now, yeah, calendars as well. But now, what we will be understanding are the different types of web element functions which are available to us using which we can work on those elements. So the different types of web element functions are clear, click, find element, get attribute, get location, get tag name, get text, is displayed, is enabled, is selected, send keys and submit. Out of them, send keys and clear are generally used for text boxes to clear and write contents on it. Is selected, is enabled, is displayed are important methods which are available to us to identify whether an element is available or is displayed or is selected to perform the respective action. Submit and click basically performs click operation on a button or an image or a link. Okay, and if you want to find out about any element at runtime, then you can use the get element text or get text or get tag name. It will find out information at runtime. And another important method, rather very important method, which I will show you a little later, is called as get attribute. What does get attribute does is, get attribute finds out the given data associated with the property of an element at runtime. So you can say driver dot find element by dot link text my account dot get attributes href. So at runtime, the link property href, which tells you which page to go, will be fetched and you can print it or do whatever you want to do with it. Okay, is this clear? So generally get attributes function is used to fetch runtime information for an object which could be used for different reasons. Any questions in here? Okay. So we will be taking up the registration scenario and we will try and see that when we try and automate the registration scenario, how the script would look like. So let's have a look at the script. I'm directly going to the test annotation. So the very first is my account link click. Then we have this continue button which has the ID property DDB4. Then this is for clicking on the gender, which is the second one. Okay. Then we have encountered the text boxes. So you print information in the different text boxes. You select the calendar value, the date, street address, postcode. Ensure that in the place of email address you have used a new email address. Then street address, password, confirm password. You click on the sign in button. And then we are using this method. If by.linkText log of method is this object is displayed, if in case it is displayed, then go ahead and click on it and click on the continue button and type registration completed. So this is also a way to assertion of the script that login after registration login has been successful or registration has been successful. So if we run this test scenario, before running or executing, we have to ensure that we are using the Gecko driver settings. So browser has launched. So the page has opened. Now we will be seeing that uh, whenever we are clicking on a link and it is coming to the next page, the script is not working fine because sometimes uh, there is a problem with the weight. Okay, that whatever is the intended weight, we were not able to wait for that much amount of time, because of which the script did not or was not able to find an element of our interest. So it will raise an error like, for example, no such element found with the this particular property. So you have to give some weight. Okay, so one way to give a weight, which is very straightforward, which I'll teach you right now, is by saying thread dot sleep. So we will say thread dot sleep at every place wherever we are changing the um, page. Okay, so whenever there is a link click, we will be saying thread dot sleep, and it will take inputs in milliseconds. So let it sleep for 3 seconds. Then these all are in the same page. New page. So let's try to run the program again. Now this is not one of very good ways to give a weight statement, which we'll learn a little later as to how we can give weight, or we should, when we are working with the automation script. So you could see that this time the user got registered, right? Because there was a proper weight given. So the script was able to find out the element on the web page, and our scenario ran. But the kind of weight which we have given is not dynamic. Okay, so it is like a static weight which we have given, which is not very beneficial for us in automation. As I said, we will learn a little later how do we get these weights. So is this clear to you guys what we have done right now? Any questions? Yes, you are given code on a daily basis, Harry. After the work is completed, everything which we do in class, including the code, is also shared on email. Okay, so now I'll give you guys a very small assignment. Try and do it right now. Pick up the scenario or change profile, okay, and use Firebug and try to generate the test annotation. You need not do it in Eclipse. I just want to see the code snippet you are going to generate for test annotation for the change profile. Understand that in login logout you already have information available. So maybe you can skip it. You can think that you are already logged in. After that, how will you proceed? So give me that code snippet, and in change profile, just change only one object, which is the last name. No other object information will get changed, only the last name. Okay. So you guys get 10 minutes. Please do it right now and share your answers. Okay, let's see the answers. Okay, good. Anybody else? Okay, so now what we will be doing is we will talk about the function find element and find elements, and then we will be talking about the functions available to us with the WebDriver, and we will be having a look at the get attributes method. Later we will be talking about the concept of synchronization and parameterization and how we can assert our test case script. So the function find element and find elements are available to us with the WebDriver object. And what it does is the find element identifies an element and returns that to us, whereas find elements method will match all the elements which will match the locator value and will return to us with a list of web elements. Okay. So this is the find element and find elements function. For example, in the test annotation, we have clicked on our main page, we have went to the URL, then we are trying to find out the different links available on the home page. So we say list web element, create a list of web element, call it links is equal to driver dot find elements, find all the elements which match the XPath A. So A is an anchor tag, so all the elements which are belonging to the link will be captured and stored in the link list. Then for every element in the link, you print that element text and you fetch the element attribute. So for every link identified in the home page, its text and href attribute will be printed. Then using the find element method, we will be clicking on my account link and you can further find out how many text boxes are available in the page. Okay, and then you can work on one particular text box. So let's try to run this program. So it is trying to fetch the number of links in the home page. Let's have a look. So this is the output which we get. So there are different links. Their texts are print and then their href attribute is printed. This is done using the find elements method, and text boxes available to us are output should have been 2. Let me just give a small wait because it is closing by. So now the answer is correct. There are two text boxes and it performed the action also on it. So this is an example of using find elements and find element method. So find element basically helps you with identifying more than one object for a given page. Okay, whereas find element will return to you the very first match found. Any questions in here? Any questions? Okay, now let's go to the WebDriver, which we have also seen, but let's this time uh, go to the WebDriver annotation. So here is the WebDriver URL, and there are some methods which are available with the WebDriver class, which we have already seen. So I'll just show you a usage of it. So you open the application, then you print the title and the URL of the page. So it can also help you with the validation purpose to validate whether you are on the same page or the URL you required. Then you click on the My Account link, and here we give a small thread.sleep. Then you provide email address, password, you click on the button. Now once you have clicked on the button, you are trying to validate whether the page contains a particular text or not, or whether it contains the log of link or not. So what are you trying to do? You are trying to basically assert your script. You are trying to introduce validation to your scripts. So we'll say if driver.getPageSource. What is the purpose of getPageSource? It is a method available to us with the WebDriver object which returns to you the content of a page. So if the page content contains my account information, then we say that the go ahead and click on the log off link and the continue button, because now you can now you have logged in, so you can log off. But if this is not visible, that simply means you have not been able to log in. Thus, you cannot see my account information on the home page, and there is no need to continue with the next set of steps. So let's run this program to find out about the different WebDriver methods. So you could see, and we get a message that user login has been successful. We are also able to get the URL and the title of the page. Is this clear? The WebDriver methods and how it can be used for different validation purposes, and these other validation purposes which we do using the if statement. Okay. Yes, let's see the validation for the code again. Here, if driver dot get paid source, what does get paid source return to you? It returns to you the content of the page, which is effectively a string. On that page, you are trying to find out the index of my account information. So basically, in the main string, you are trying to find out a substring. If it is returned a value greater than 0, then you have basically logged in the application, so you will be able to see the log off link and the continue button. Okay. So what we have seen so far, we have seen about the WebDriver methods, we saw the web element methods, and we have seen about the by, right? How we can select element using the by. We saw the different elements on a web page. Now there are some more elements available to us like table, drop down, form, alerts, etc., which we will see a little later because they are advanced web elements. And we also saw that we can validate information on the web page. We also saw about the find element and find elements method. Now in the validation itself, there is a way to validate or assert presence of an element, which is by using JUnit assertions. So let's have a look at it. What approach is most used by or web element method or any other? What does that mean, Harry? Can you rephrase your question? By or web element method or any other? By or web element method. Harry, can you rephrase your question? I'm unable to understand it so that I can answer. Are there particular approach to find elements on a web page, XPath, web element or by? Okay, fine. So I'll take up this question after I've explained assertions. So when you look at the JUnit assertions, it's available to us with the class assert, and there is way to assert different information. So you can use a method called as assert equals, which take as input an object and another object and then find out whether these two objects are equal. Then you can use method like assert null, assert not null, fail, etc., which will basically report a failure. Okay, so assertion is an important class available to us with JUnit, which can help us with the assertions of our scenarios. Okay, for example, in here, if this has failed, I can simply say fail. And you have to import the JUnit assert. So we need to import JUnit assert. After that, we can use its assertion method. So I have used fail to report a failure in our example. Okay, and I can also report something being passed or being failed. So executing this test, so right now this has been passed, so no failure would be reported. But let's say if I fail it by giving a wrong password and I run this test again, then what will happen? So you will see that a failure has happened, and do you see this message, user has not logged in? See the cursor, it is highlighting a Java lang assertion error. User has not logged in. This is the failure message which we gave, which got reported in our JUnit framework. Okay. Are there any particular approach to find element on a web page, XPath, or what is the most common way? Okay. The approach to find element on a web page is as follows, which I told you guys. We always try and find out if the object has got ID or name property. We always try and see. If it has got ID or name property, you will use by.id or by.name to recognize the object. Okay. and then if not, we generally resort to XPath. Okay, XPath could be absolute or relative. You can either use CSS for links, it is always link text. Okay, or you can use the tag name property, etc., to identify the element on a web page. Is this clear? Okay. Similarly, let's say if a user has passed, I can say assert true, user login success. Okay, so this information will get printed in the um, JUnit assertions output. Okay, so this is another way to provide information to the end user about the output of a test scenario. Now, there are two important concepts whenever you are trying to learn automation, whether it is this tool or the other tool, which are the two basic blocks. One is parameterization and the other is synchronization. And we will talk about these two important concepts after a break. Okay. So we'll take a break of 5 minutes. After that, we will start our discussion on the concept of parameterization and synchronization. So see you in 5 minutes. Thank you. Okay, resuming the session. So we will talk about the concept of parameterization and then synchronization. So the concept of parameterization basically says that uh, if we have a test case and data, we would want to iterate the test case, and with each iteration pick up a different data set. Okay, so you would want to iterate the test case, and with each iteration you would want to pick up a different data set. So what is that which we will achieve by it? Maybe we want to test the scenario by using different data sets, or maybe we want to generate test data. That's also a very important aspect of test automation, that you want to generate enough test data to automate your scenarios. Okay, so in those situations parameterization is a useful concept. Now I will tell you about a few things and you tell me that do you remember that we have covered this all this in Java. So let's say we have a CSV file, a comma separated files with some values. Let's pick up the login logout scenario, and the values which are available to me are username comma password. In this particular format we have got the information available. Okay, now do we know how to read a file? We know how to read a text file. Okay, do we know that once we have started reading a text file line by line, the line is in the format, so in the string format, the line is available to us with username comma password, right? So if this is the format available, do you know how we can extract just the username and the password? So we know how to split the string based upon comma as the delimiter and fetch just username and password separately. We know that, right? So what is that we are going to write down? While read until end of file. So you have to read until end of file. Here fetch username and password by using the split command. Login logout scenario. Use username and password. That's it. So you're going to iterate the test until you reach end of file, and you are going to split the information based upon comma as a separator and use that in the login logout test case. So for this, let's pick out the test case scenario. So we will be creating our file. So user@user.com, user123. Similarly, let's create a bad data. Save this file. So this file is available to us in this location. You have to import the Java IO package. And what are the two objects, file reader and file buffered reader, which we have to use. Okay. So we have to create the file reader and file buffered reader object information. So let's do that. Now this should be in the iteration. So while reader object is not null, you can have this outside opening of the URL. Now once you have read each line, so before your next iteration, you read the line again, and here we create a data object. So string and array, we say line dot split based upon a comma, we provide a semicolon, and here instead of this you will be using data 0, and instead of this password you will be using data 1. Okay, that's it. So ideally this particular test scenario will run how many times? It should ideally run twice because there are two lines available to us in the test. Okay. Sorry, forgot to give the path to the Gecko driver. So providing the path to the Gecko driver. So you could see that it picked the very first information and it printed it. Now it is trying to pick up a bad information and run the program. So for first it has passed, but for second it has mentioned that it is a bad password. Okay. So out of the two, one passed and one got failed. Okay. So how many times the test iterated? Two times. Is this clear? The test file path is available in here in the before annotation. Okay. So let's talk about the synchronization concept. The concept of synchronization says that we have to ensure that the speed at which the application is automating the sorry, the speed at which the application is executing the automation test case is same as the speed at which the tool is sending the command. Okay, it could be very much possible that the speed of the tool of sending the command is higher than the speed at which the application is able to automate those steps. What will happen in this situation? In this situation, we will be basically facing synchronization issues because the speed at which the application is executing the scenarios may not match the speed at which the application is executing those test cases. So, to avoid such situations, there are availability of some commands which we can use to synchronize our application, ensuring that the speed at which the application executes matches the speed at which the automation toolset is sending those commands. So one such is thread.sleep, which you have seen. We have used it many times now, which takes input in the milliseconds. Okay. So it takes input in the milliseconds. We have got thread.sleep command. Okay. Now this is a static wait, which basically means that it may or may not work. Sometimes it could be too much of a time which we have provided, thus leading to unnecessary delay in the script or automation, because you have to understand that the first place or the reason when we started automation was to ensure that we want to save time, and if our script itself takes more time than the manual test case execution, then we are failing. So thread.sleep is not a very good way to introduce synchronization because it's a static wait, it's a forceful wait. It doesn't have any intelligence built in. Another way is to introduce a dynamic wait, which is flexible wait and is an event based or an intelligent wait. So there is a class available to us in the WebDriver called as WebDriver wait class, which has got this method called as wait.until. So in the WebDriver wait, you basically create an instance of the WebDriver wait, passing the driver object and a time in seconds, timeout in seconds, and then you are saying that you are waiting until there is an element which is present, which presence of element located by using the BRI property. For this you use expected conditions. So there are two classes in here, WebDriver wait and expected conditions, which help you form intelligent wait or dynamic wait, using which you can automate your scripts in a better manner. For example, in here, instead of giving thread.sleep, I can introduce a WebDriver wait and I can say wait until the element present is so wait until this element is present or timeout in 30 seconds. Okay. Similarly, instead of thread.sleep in here, you can say wait until log of link is present or timeout in 30 seconds. But in here, since you are also validating the scenario, maybe let's just use thread.sleep in here. Okay. So let's run this program. So you could see that it went on a little more quickly without any inherent delay because we used a dynamic weight, and since it appeared pretty fast, it did not fade for 30 seconds. But let's say if it did not appear, let's say I am giving a bad locator in here just to show you what would happen. I'm executing the program again. So after it has clicked on my account, it will basically be waiting for email address underscore one and email underscore address one to appear. And how much time will it wait? It will wait for 30 seconds. So as soon as 30th second is over, it will lead to an error saying timeout exception, expected condition failed, waiting for element to be located by whatever it is, and it will tell you the timeout. Okay. So this is how you can use a dynamic weight and make your test case scenarios more relevant and synchronized. So that's all we have for today. Any questions? Okay. So as an assignment, automate the byproduct scenario, use appropriate validation and synchronization as and where required. Parameterize the registration of user scenario. Use it to register 5 users. For each user, use timestamp to generate a new email ID. So think about it, Google it, how you can pick up a timestamp to ensure that the email ID given to the user is always unique. Okay? Will you be able to do it? So these are the 2 assignment problems. So thank you so much for your time today. I will see you all for tomorrow for the session which got missed, and then that will be for this week. After that we have 2 more weeks left for this course, so there are 8 more classes, and hopefully we all will be Selenium certified then. Okay? So thank you so much, and thank you for your effort. I will see you guys tomorrow. Take care. Bye everyone.